Hey there. So today we're going to break down one of the most common essays you'll ever have to write, the compare and contrast. And my goal here is to show you how to turn this from just another assignment into a really powerful way to think. Let's get into it. So, does this sound familiar? You've done all your research, you found a bunch of similarities, you found a bunch of differences, but when you go to write it, it just feels like a big list, right? It's not really an argument, it's just facts. Well, you're not alone. That's a super common feeling, and it's exactly what we're going to fix today. Because here's the thing your instructor knows. They're not really asking you for a summary. The whole point of this essay is to get you to make connections, to think critically about how two things relate to each other. When you start analyzing why they're similar or why they're different, that's when you really start to understand them on a much deeper level. So how do we actually do that? Well, we start with a good blueprint. We need a plan to get from that jumble of ideas in your head to some actual, genuine insights. This part is all about pre-writing, and trust me, a little organization here is going to save you a ton of headaches later. First up, an oldie but a goodie, the Venn diagram. I'm sure you've seen it. It's just a fantastic way to see your ideas. You get two big overlapping circles, one for each thing you're comparing. That space in the middle where they overlap, that's for everything they have in common. And the parts on the outside are for all the unique stuff. It's simple, it's fast, and it really works. Let's make this real with a quick example. Say we're comparing two local pizza joints, Peppers and Amante. Just by mapping it out, you can see right away. Okay, Peppers has this funky, lively vibe, while Amante is more quiet and chill. This simple act of just sorting your thoughts, this is the first real step toward analysis. Now, if the Venn diagram feels a little too basic, or maybe you're comparing, say, 3 things instead of 2, a chart is your best friend. You just list your subjects across the top, and then you list your points of comparison down the side, things like price, location, ingredients, whatever. What's so great about this is that it forces you to look at each subject using the exact same criteria. It keeps everything fair and balanced. All right, you've brainstormed, you've got your ideas organized. Now comes, and I'm not exaggerating, the most critical step of all, turning all those observations into a powerful thesis statement. This is where you actually make an argument. And to do that, you have to ask yourself this one simple question. So what? Seriously, so what if these two things are different? Why should anybody care? Answering that so what question is what takes your paper from just being an observation to being a real analysis. It's the engine that drives your entire essay. So first, let's look at what not to do. This is a classic trap. Peppers and Amante are similar in some ways and different in others. I mean, yeah, technically it's true, but it tells your reader absolutely nothing. It's just a fact, not an argument. It's the kind of sentence that makes you shrug. It's a starting point for sure, but it is not your destination. Okay, now we're getting warmer. This one's better. It's way more specific, which is great. It gives the reader a little roadmap of what you're going to talk about. But notice it's still just stating facts. It tells us what is different, but it's not telling us why it matters. It's still missing that so what. And boom, here it is. This is a strong thesis. You see the difference? It makes a clear, debatable claim. Someone could actually argue with this. It doesn't just list facts, it uses them to make a bigger point. It acknowledges a similarity, the ingredients, but then it uses a key difference, the atmosphere, to say something bigger about experiencing local culture. It answers the so what question head on. This is what you're aiming for. Okay, so you have a killer thesis. Now it's time to actually build the essay around it. And the structure you pick is going to make a huge difference in how clearly your argument comes across. Your first option is what we call the subject by subject method. This is where you say everything you want to say about Pepper's Pizza first, and then in the second half of the paper, you say all the same things about Amante Pizza. The big risk here is that it can feel like you wrote 2 separate mini essays, and you're kind of forcing your reader to do all the hard work of connecting the dots themselves. The other approach, and honestly the one that's usually more effective, is the point-by-point method. Here, you organize your whole essay by the points of comparison. So you'd have one paragraph all about the atmospheres of both restaurants, back to back, then a whole new paragraph comparing their ingredients, and so on. There's a reason a lot of instructors prefer this second method. It forces you to put the two subjects into a direct conversation with each other in every single paragraph. The comparison is way clearer, it's more direct, and your analysis gets woven through the entire essay instead of just being tacked on at the end. It just makes for a much tighter, more powerful argument. All right, we're almost there. Finally, let's talk about adding some polish. This is all about using your language to be a good guide for your reader, making sure they can follow your logic every step of the way. You want to think of these words as signposts. They're called keywords or transition phrases, and they are absolutely essential. Words like similarly or likewise basically tell your reader, hey, I'm about to show you how these things are alike. And words like in contrast or however prepare them for a difference. Using these makes your logic crystal clear. And here's just how simple it is in a topic sentence. Starting with a phrase like compared to peppers or despite their similarities, it instantly tells your reader what that paragraph is going to do. They know you're about to draw a direct line between your two subjects on one specific point. No confusion. Because at the end of the day, comparing and contrasting isn't just some essay you have to write for a grade. It's one of the main ways we make sense of the world. It's how we evaluate our choices, how we understand new ideas, and how we see things we thought we knew in a totally new light. So I'll leave you with this question. What's something in your life right now that you could understand a little bit better just by comparing it to something else?